Have you ever picked up a company's glossy annual report, looked at all the amazing numbers, and just wondered, is this for real? Well, today we're handing you the secret decoder ring. We are going to dive deep into the auditor's report, the one document that's designed to tell you if a company's financial story is fact or maybe just a little bit of fiction. I mean, that's the multi-billion-dollar question, right? A company can shout from the rooftops about record profits, but how do you really know you can trust what they're saying? How can you be sure they're playing by the rules and not, cooking the books? That is the exact problem the auditor's report is here to solve. The easiest way to think about an auditor's report is like a company's financial report card. It's issued by a totally independent CPA firm whose only job is to go in, examine the books, and give an objective opinion. And to make this super simple, we're going to use a traffic light analogy to decode exactly what they're trying to tell us. Yep, it's pretty much that straightforward. An auditor's final opinion is going to flash one of three signals. A green light means everything looks great, full speed ahead. A yellow light means, whoa, slow down. You should proceed with caution because there's something you need to know. And a red light, well, a red light is a blaring siren telling you to stop because something is seriously wrong here. Okay, so let's start with the one everybody wants to see, the report that every company, every investor, every lender is hoping for. This is the official stamp of approval. It's a clean bill of financial health. This is our green light. Now, in the world of auditing, this is called an unqualified or unmodified report. And I know, unqualified sounds like a bad thing, right? But it's actually the opposite. It's the best you can get. It just means the auditor has looked at everything and says, yep, this company's financials follow all the rules. Those rules are known as GAAP, or Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. This is the absolute gold standard. So what does a good standard green light report actually look like? Well, there are a few key parts. It starts with the basics, a title and who the report is addressed to. But the most important part, the opinion, is now right at the top. You see their conclusion immediately. Right after that, you get the basis for opinion, where they explain how they reached that conclusion, and then a section on critical audit matters, which basically highlights any really complex, tricky judgments they had to make. But the report isn't just about the company's numbers, it's also about the auditors themselves, and it gives you a little more context about their work. And these last couple of pieces give you that crucial background. The report also has to tell you the auditor's tenure, basically how long that same firm has been auditing the company. And this is a really subtle but important detail. A super long tenure might suggest the relationship is a little too cozy. On the other hand, a brand new auditor could mean there was a recent shakeup. Finally, you get the location and the date, and that pretty much completes your standard green light report. But here's where things get a little more interesting. See, not all clean reports are created equal. Sometimes an auditor gives the company a green light overall, but they still need to flash a little yellow light to make sure you're paying attention to one specific thing. Now, to be perfectly clear, this is still a clean, unqualified opinion. The financials are still considered fair, but the auditor will stick in an extra paragraph to emphasize something they think is absolutely critical for you to understand. So it's not a bad report, but it's a huge signal to slow down and read very carefully. So what kind of stuff triggers one of these yellow lights? Well, the biggest one, the one you really have to watch out for, is called a going concern issue. This is the auditor formally saying they have serious doubts that the company can actually stay in business for another year. Oof. Other flags might be big accounting changes that make it hard to compare this year to last year, or a huge one-time event, like a natural disaster or a massive acquisition that they want to make sure you didn't miss. And this is the kind of language you need to hunt for. When an auditor uses the phrase, substantial doubt about its ability to continue as a going concern, that is a direct, severe warning. They're telling you that, yeah, the numbers today might be accurate, but the company's entire future is on shaky ground. It's about the most serious yellow light you can possibly get. All right, now we move into the danger zone. We're getting to the reports that are undeniable red lights. These aren't just little warnings or points of emphasis. Oh no, these are reports that signal serious, fundamental problems with the financial statements themselves. When an auditor just can't give that clean green light opinion, they issue what's called a departure from the standard report. And this is the auditor standing up and basically yelling, "Stop! Do not rely on these numbers as they are." And there are three distinct ways they can sound this alarm. This table breaks down the three main types of red lights, and each one is more severe than the last. First, you have a qualified opinion. It's the mildest of the bad ones, and it basically says the financials are okay, except for this one specific thing. Then you have an adverse opinion, which is a total rejection. The auditor is saying the numbers are flat out misleading. And finally, a disclaimer, which might just be the scariest of all. That's the auditor saying they couldn't get enough info to even have an opinion. When you see a qualified opinion, this is the killer phrase to look for, except for the effects of. The auditor is basically taking a scalpel and surgically isolating a problem. They're telling you, look, the rest of this report is fine, but this one little area doesn't follow the rules and you absolutely need to know about it. Now, this phrase, this is the financial equivalent of a skull and crossbones. When an auditor states that the financial statements do not present fairly, that's pretty much game over. They're saying the numbers are so messed up, so pervasively wrong, that the entire set of financial statements is fundamentally broken and you can't trust any of it. This is incredibly rare and an absolute catastrophe for a company. And finally, we have the disclaimer. If you see the words, "We do not express an opinion," the auditor is basically throwing their hands up in the air. It means the audit just couldn't be completed. Either the records were missing, or maybe even worse, the auditor felt their independence was compromised. It's a huge red flag that tells you can't be sure of anything. So, we've decoded all the signals from the good green lights to the cautious yellows to the terrifying reds. But why does any of this actually matter to you, whether you're an investor, an employee, or just someone trying to understand how a business works? It matters because this report is your single best window into a company's financial reality. It's the independent, objective check on everything management claims. By learning to read these signals, green, yellow, or red, you can look right past the fancy press releases and the CEO's big promises and make a much, much smarter judgment about the true health and integrity of a company. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you're researching a stock or maybe even thinking about a job offer, don't just stop at the headlines. Dig a little deeper, find that auditor's report, and ask yourself, are you seeing a green light, a yellow light, or a red light? Because the answer just might change everything.